All right, everybody. Hi, hello, and welcome once more to Discussing Tabletop. Come on, top image. Go away. I really should, link certain one of these to this, buttons I can press, but I keep thinking about, in other scenes where it doesn't matter. That's where my brain goes for it, that I'm going to be, over somewhere else, and I'm like, I have to use my 7 here. And I'm like...
This is, the benefit of having a stream deck, I guess.
I guess that's true.
Why I have one.
Hilarious soundboard.
Mm-hmm.
Insert pipe drop meme.
Pipe drop meme. A classic. Maybe I'll figure it out. Again, while I'm over here, I probably could just put that in and not have to worry about it, doing anything. 99.9% of the time.
Can you add buttons in OBS?
Well, I think you can do is you can set shortcuts to certain, sources and stuff.
Oh yeah, you can set shortcuts to certain key presses.
I could have the top screen that I don't have to be over in OBS, turning it off. I could have a button I could quickly press on my keyboard, which would be a little bit more efficient. That's what I was kind of thinking about on that one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, usually I do Control plus an F button as my hot keys for stuff. Because I don't know anything that uses Control F key. And I say F key is in F1 through 12 because I don't know anything that uses Control plus an F key to do anything.
When I streamed, I used numpad because there's not much that actually uses numpad unless you're doing very specific things.
I don't know. I feel like I run it. The problem is I actually like to use the numpad for numbers, meaning I have numlock off all the time.
Fair. Yeah, I don't.
I do tend to have some of that issue though too because I use I do have for switching the slides for images on that I set up earlier on the numpad too onto one of the numbers. So I can't really type on there, and I'm tempted to sometimes, not often, but sometimes I'm like, I want to type something in. So I got to use the actual numbers on the keyboard.
Yeah, it basically getting a job in an accounting department really killed my ability to use numpad for anything but numbers.
But welcome everybody. Let's eat some I really shouldn't have microwaved it, but I had some leftover garlic bread. I microwaved it a little bit to make it warm, but also kind of dried it out. Still edible.
Yeah. If you to be fair, if you're warming up garlic bread, you do need to add a touch of butter back to it.
I really should
moisten it up again.
What was when I quickly ran down to grab my drink, and then I ran up there, and I had to be like, oh hey, the bathroom is finally open. I can go use that now before we start. So I had to put my stuff
another
down.
option, and this works with pizza as well. Anything bread based that you want to microwave. You put a cup of water in with it, and as it heats up, the water also heats up and adds moisture to the air that keeps it from drying out.
That is a much better idea there too. Maybe I should explore that. Anyway.
It does make a very hot cup of water, so you have to
You do have to be careful with that water, yeah.
Yeah, always have to be careful about microwaving water. Anyway, we're at the end of March. Wow. Time flies. Almost done March. We're getting into the depths of spring and such with that entire thing there too. I do actually have water too, so I can take a drink there too. But nice. Hey everybody. It's 28th. We've had our second 28th of the year. Probably the last 28th of the year on a Saturday. I don't know the I haven't checked the dates ahead of time, but everybody's having a good Saturday. It's been an interesting week. I don't think anything particularly crazy, but certainly a lot of interesting little things that have popped up.
Nope, November will have a Saturday the 28th.
Damn.
November. I should have known you'd be behind it. That's fine. So we'll be next time we have a 28th, a 7-day cycle will be on November. So that'll be fun then. Anything interesting happen for either of you in your week? I guess
I got a haircut.
Oh, nice.
I finished a Warhammer book.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm sorry, Worm. I couldn't notice, but it's also because I usually have stuff over top of the video, so I can't really see it unless it's over in OBS, and it's tiny there.
Yeah, to be fair, it was I'm still kind of surprised because it was pretty dramatic. I had my hair down to here. It was so long.
looking and you pointing it out, I am noticing it, but it was one of those things that's just me glancing over into OBS. I wasn't noticing it. My brain was
What's
just
even
like...
funnier is I literally got it earlier today. That's why I didn't get a nap today. That's why I'm tired.
Yeah. I'm like, OBS is working. That's great. Yeah. I don't think there's any like super crazy videos that like were out this week or any kind of cruiser shows or stuff. What? Oh, sorry. I was gonna say, which novel did you finish or book did you finish?
So I famously am not the biggest fan of Space Marines, but I
Mhm.
decided I want to try and like see if I can find 40k Space Marine stuff I like. Because when you read 30k, it's all Space Marines. That's all you get.
Yeah.
So I read the book Hell's Reach,
Okay.
which is topical because it's all about the war for Armageddon.
That makes sense then.
It's a good novel. It didn't make me really care about any Space Marines, mostly because the main character's name was Brother Grimaldus, and I'm like, that's stupid.
What was it? What was the other one that was so badly named that everybody was named it? Was that War of the Beast with
with Corlin, aka Slaughter.
everything was named Slaughter. There's like 4 different slaughters. Look, I'm not gonna lie. Having heard that, I'm really not placing, anything, story-wise that they do very
There was
high up.
The book is great. He gives, because there's a lot of plenty of human characters in it that are very good. But I did the audiobook because Warhammer has hard to pronounce words, so I like it being read to me instead.
Makes sense.
And the way he did voices, he gave humans very normal British voices, but for the Space Marine 2, he was like, Brother Grimaldus, kill the Xenos.
He looked at a grumbly voice.
And he just like grumbled for Space Marines.
Wow.
It was also Black Templar, which is not my... It was a very problematic Space Marine chapter. Ooh, we love our Crusade boys who are ultra racist.
Yeah. That makes sense. Why it would be kind of like a weird issue.
As far as Space Marine novels go, I thought it was pretty good. It had a healthy amount of guard thrown in, which I prefer. And next month I'm gonna read Void Scarred, which is an Eldari book.
Ooh.
I want a story from a guard perspective about a guard being basically adopted by a Space Marine and being kept alive because of Space Marine.
There is currently a Black Crusade game by Narrative Declaration where the party is 3 Chaos Space Marines and 1 human guard.
They have their pet.
I just like the idea of the guard or the Space Marine just kind of like nonchalantly protecting the guard in ways till he doesn't entirely notice.
I mean, again, it would be an interesting thing because you wouldn't have there's only like certain ones that would directly do that. So it'd be like, look, it's like I like the guy. He's fine. We'll keep him alive. Don't worry about it. I'll make sure to feed and water him.
Yeah, Warhammer books are always interesting because it is like they're always POV based. So when a character dies, it's incredibly abrupt. Well, he's dead. We're on to the next guy. You're not going to get a resolution to that.
That's kind of terrible. I'm not going to lie. Hearing about
it. Unfortunately, it's the way it is. Hell's Reach, unfortunately, it just kind of ends.
Honestly, there's something... it's kind of nice when books do that in a way because you kind of... it makes it a lot less predictable. It's kind of like, oh, no, they literally just ended that storyline. It's not...
40k books are very much in the realm of probably don't get attached to many characters because like a solid 95% of people in this book are not going to make it to the end.
They do like killing off lots of characters in many different ways. It's basically like we're just going to make a bunch of characters that we won't be making miniatures out of, so we're just going to kill them off. So don't worry about
Yeah,
it.
I mean, it's the cannon fodder. It's the deadliest universe, even though Games Workshop is really bad at numbers that show deadliness.
Certainly
Yeah,
speaking,
good old Siege of Rax, siege that took place over the course of like 10 years and only 7 million people died.
How big was the city?
It was not a very big planet, but it was like a chaos guarded planet, and only 7 million guardsmen died, and it's treated as like this horrific Pyrrhic victory for the Imperium. And it's like, we've on Earth have had wars, have had single battles where more people than that have died.
So it really depends, like, but yeah, I get it. Because it's like it depends on how big the population of the planet was and how, because like if it's like an, you know, one of those worlds which if it's a hive world and there's trillions of people, then yeah, that would be tiny.
if it was like even if it wasn't quite like a death world, if it was like an agri world, and that's like the majority of the population was like that. There, it was like there's a guard for every human on that planet, and they all died, you know, or something like that, or
Yeah,
you know.
So it's like it really depends, but yeah, no, I totally get it. It's like
I think it was also, I think it's also the Siege of Rax, where someone with all the codex information did the math of all of the shells fired, and it turns out that throughout the entire war they would have run out of shells in like the first few hours.
Where were they getting all these shells? I mean, I understand.
It's just details that don't really matter.
Yeah, it is details that don't really matter, but it is like sometimes it just gets a little too ridiculous on some of these things.
Okay, but there is a whole thing, like people who do like write books for a living and who have gotten popular, they'll start out with kind of a lot more inaccuracies. But if you're gonna like pay someone to write a book for your thing, that person really should spend some money on like fact checkers and like people who think about this kind of stuff. Because like I know that there are authors who like will write and it's like there's a interview I saw with someone who was like, yeah, they were talking and it's like, oh yeah, no, I noticed. It's like, oh yeah, what was with that sword in that one book? Oh yeah, I was wondering about that, but my editor said no one would notice, and then you know I did it and everyone noticed. It was just like a description of a sword, and it's all like
Unfortunately, this is the same company that pushed out 12 books in the span of a year.
Yeah, God,
but again, is it
for War
is
of the
it all
Beast?
by the same?
What?
Is it all by the
So
same
it's
person?
it's not all by the same author, but it's all through the same publishing company.
And they're supposed to be.
Anyway,
those 12 books are supposed to be a series too, so it's a bunch of different authors writing different books.
You know what? I just realized the problem with what I'm saying. That what I was talking about was for an independent author, whereas this, everyone gets a piece of the pie, and the author probably gets the smallest piece.
Realistically, while the books are good stories, they are, hey, so here's a guy, he's got a plastic toy, go buy that plastic toy.
Yeah.
Like, you can always tell when a 40k book is out, when a new model has released, because it is literally like, and then insert hyper-specific character and hyper-specific description showed up, and here's how cool he is.
Well, I think it's like they can do that better because, like, having heard the Adeptus Ridiculous summary of the Gilliman trilogy, that was a really good trilogy. But that wasn't that like around with him coming back out, you know, as his miniature?
Yeah, that was when he was coming out.
And I think that's like you could just do that if you want to do these things, and that was a really good sell that off.
It also really depends on the author, because some authors are far better than other Warhammer authors.
It made me think
and that's the other thing.
This made me think of something that I'd heard, like, it was either this week or last week, I can't remember, but it was just like something that someone had mentioned about like some fight scene in somewhere, and where like it was like in the course of the fight scene, there are things that, like, if you slow it down, you can kind of see the places where on the seams, it's sort of like it was like a live action fight scene, you know, and you can see where the other people that are coming in, like, you know, it's like a one versus many kind of fight, you know. You can kind of see they're coming in here. They're kind of opening themselves up a little bit, you know. It doesn't really work if you slow that down, but if you just let it flow through it in the scene, you don't notice those kind of things. And I think it's that kind of thing. I think for some of these things, for the stories in the books, you don't want to notice those seams. And I think it's sort of like when you hear the bajillion shells that rain down constantly for years, you're like, how are you doing that? And where are you getting all these? It starts to sound a little bit ridiculous. Like, you know, if it's like a salvo that they have once in a while, you might be able to, they kind of get resupplies or something like that. There's things that you could, or they could make more. There are things that you could make that you can kind of do that cognitive dissonance. But when you like break that dissonance, it kind of like stops you in your tracks a little bit. Even if it is a fantasy or strange setting, it's like there's always that little ground of reality, I think is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, the reason I like Hell's Reach as much as I did, and I think it is the better telling of certain aspects of Armageddon, is because it is 3 to 4 character perspectives, and you're seeing the war through a very limited scope.
Yeah. And I think any media can kind of do this entire thing, is like the world sets rules and we look at those rules through our own stuff. And when our rules break, usually then we say like, okay, this is breaking all the rules of our world. Does it work within this world? And then you kind of have to scratch your head sometimes when it breaks both. That's when I think it's, and that works for any media, like comics can do that, novels can do that, TV shows, movies, it sometimes happens. But interesting. I'm glad that it sounded like at least a pretty decent novel to check out there. So cool. I don't think there's anything else major that I can mention because most of it pertains back to our topics for this week. So maybe we can dive into those because I guess the only thing is like more and more hearing about like it's stuff that we've already talked about and we don't have any like big news to talk about it again. All the stuff around Wizards and Hasbro and how they continually horrifically milk in bad ways D&D and Magic, it just keeps like making me shake my head because there's more discussions on it here and there and stuff because problems keep coming up, mild problems, or you hear about some of the issues with like, I don't know, Magic's entire Avery format is dying because of all the cards they're putting out. Like all the formats are having trouble.
I don't think you put these on the docket.
I did forget to put those 2 books on the docket. You are correct.
To be fair, you also forgot to put Warhammer on the docket.
I put it under the Adepticon Roundup.
I guess. Yeah, okay, there it is.
Yeah. I'll put this...
Yeah, that's the other thing actually that happened this week. So you know how there was a book that I mentioned that that's been on like awaiting fulfillment for a while?
Yeah.
From Paizo. So I actually decided to call Paizo this week, and I love their customer service, so nice. And they basically just was like, oh yeah, we sent an email. I just completely missed the email.
Nice.
And basically what's going on is just for whatever reason, way more people wanted the book than they thought, so their first printing did not have enough.
Oh.
I've done that before.
Okay.
So.
I get you then.
I have to wait for another printing. They said it should come at some point in the next month.
Okay. But yeah, so that's the only thing I have to say with that. It was I think the culmination of it was there's always musing about that kind of thing there, but I think the culmination this week was the professor did a video. I put it in my chat where he was just like, hey, this is probably unsustainable. Don't worry about it. Because again, like it's the things is I don't watch formats of any of the TCGs or stuff like that, so like I don't know when they're suffering or not. So it's a good thing to kind of look into sometimes. Anyway, let's dive into some RPG news because it turns out this week there's a billion things announced in RPGs. A billion little things, but it's like everybody's like, hey, how about an RPG thing? But speaking of WotC a little bit here, we can mention that for D&D Beyond, they've got their character builder out. There's just an article about it. I'm sure you can go to D&D Beyond and get their thing about it. So it's their latest character builder. So if you need some help with the character building and all that kind of stuff, cool, great. It's a character quick builder. Just basically able to make you a quick and dirty character if you need one. Thumbs up. These are always good. Cool to have them. And that's about it. Modivius. The first thing for Modivus, I didn't put these in next to each other, and I forgot. I should have moved them around and had them next to each other, but I'm not doing that right now. So Nightfell is a core book that is being published by Modivius. It's coming out in PDF form. It does not seem to be, at least at this time, in physical form. It's a fantasy horror setting. It's supposed to be working with, I guess, 5e rules, so D20 rules. They just said, again, it's the usual language of fantasy setting for the 5th edition of the world's most famous role-playing game, which everyone says because they can't say D&D. Yeah.
Wait, can't we say D&D?
because
I assume there's product reasons.
it's product, and I think probably like the entire thing of like you can use the rules, but you can't advertise it on your own.
I think
thing.
it's just being
No.
extra safe.
Yeah.
So, okay, so I actually did the. I mean, when it comes to copyright, you can say compatible with this. You just can't say like, like. So there are things. So first off, rules are not copyrightable. I actually learned that the other day.
Yeah.
You can't copyright rules. You can copyright the specific language used to some degree, but you can't copyright the rules. So that's where it's like, but like all you have to do is say compatible with 5th edition.
It also might be Modifius not wanting to directly mention their competitor.
That's fair.
Yeah. It's an entire thing of
that honestly makes the most sense to me.
It's a language that I see more. No, it's not just Modifius. A lot of places has that language. I guess it's just something that someone adopted in order to like not do that, and has kind of moved into that their entire thing too. But
to be fair,
Mhm.
the one nice thing about this too is there are 3 versions basically that use 5th edition rules. Or 4 now if you count the 2 that Paizo put out, and then you have Tales of the Valiant, which is basically just 5e, and Advanced 5th edition, Level Up Advanced 5th edition. So like you could in theory play with any of them.
Yeah. So again, it's you just think of it as a 2d20 system, or I'm sorry, d20 system stuff. So any of the d20 system games, yes, you'd probably have to like look at different places for the different ways you're going. But again, anyway, I like the core book, but there's also a bestiary adventure book, and they call it a Children of the Moon, which I think is a what kind of book is this anyway? It's a, I guess, item and slight creature one, because it does deal with lycanthropy, which I guess is a big idea of Nightfall. Makes sense though. I mean, it's supposed to be like a horror night-based kind of thing, creatures of the night, or fae, superstitions, lycanthropy. Yeah. It's also just to note, because I forgot from the setting here. It's a setting where the sun is gone and it's just night for eternity. It's the Lunar Age. Yeah. I don't know how that works in this world with the entire, thing, but I'm gonna guess magic. Magic is causing your planet not to freeze. Cool.
Nonsense.
I mean,
Or
in
maybe
magical world, darkness doesn't necessarily mean cold. It could be magical darkness that still lets heat through.
Yeah, maybe the sun is technically still there. It's just blocked out by horrific night magic, which has embraced your planet. Who knows? But yeah. So setting of eternal night, kind of neat. We got the latest of the Magical Kitties series from name of company breaking from my brain. I'm going to get Atlas or Athos. It was Atlas. It was Atlas Games. Anyway, now your magical kitties can be superheroes. It's the RPG about playing cats that are magicals. Now you can be superhero ones. So
Perfect if you enjoyed the Warrior Cat series.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely one of that series that I'm glad they keep doing, because it is like it feels like you could still play as adults, but it is very much more like a family friendly kind of thing. I
forgot about the Warrior Cat.
My niece loves that series, or very least loved that series. I think she still does, but it's hard to tell because you never know when kids grow out of anything at this point in time.
My partner was very, very into it when he was young.
So, I believe
it's so funny because it's like, despite liking, I don't know, that just reminds me of Wings of Fire, and it's all like, I want to like it. It's okay.
We have more information. I think we talked about the Exodus series previously, but we now have a official date for the Traveler's Handbook to be coming out in August.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was like 99% sure we did talk about it, but I just wanted to kind of fill in the fact
it's come up a couple times.
Yeah, but we now have a more exact date of when it's being officially released from Renegade, so expect that to be coming out then. And also it's giving us like some more like ideas about like a full description of the setting and stuff like that. Interestingly enough, from the Free League is basically working with some a couple of people, including the Morkborg co-creator, to make a Formia RPG. So it's supposed to be a dark, weird, subterranean horror. Sons of Myth, false stars on the roofs of a underground world. Where you're like basically the folk, which are like children of the last surface. This is kind of an interesting thing. Basically, like Morlocky people that like are living underground and like son, it's a lie when it, like when you're driven under there, so you think that it's now, and the roof of your weird underground cave is the stars or something like that. It's a very interesting idea for a setting, I think. So we don't have. I mean, they're showing off that they have, like, at least in some of the images here, they'll have like a bat folk or something like that. That looks kind of neat. It looks like they are more of like a twisted, like, animal folk kind of adventure, which is fun.
A snake, a goat, a bat.
Yeah,
and
it's like some kind of crow, maybe a crow bird, maybe a fox for that group image there too. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, there's just one of the pictures is like a pangolin.
Yeah. So. It seems like a very interesting idea. And they do have a pre-page for the Kickstarter they're going to be doing for this one, which is launching on the 7th. So
very nice.
Not very long. Hey, there's the 2 books from Fallout. Now, this is more of an article about it, but I wanted to give it here because it does talk about some of the other books that they are planning to work on in the future, because it looks like they are going to be coming out with a lot more setting books. Of course, the first one that we knew about was the New Vegas one, or the Mojave Wasteland one, which we heard about around when the Fallout Season 2 came out. Makes sense. That was kind of around that area. But we now know they're going to be doing a New California, and both of them are coming out this year. The New Vegas one's coming out this upcoming month, New California later on, and it does sound like next year we're going to be getting 3 more setting books for the Fallout RPG, Cap Wasteland, Boston Commonwealth, and Appalachian Mountains. So
it took a little bit for this system to start spinning up, but I'm glad it's found a footing.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie. I'm guessing the show has helped a lot to drive it.
Yeah, absolutely. The show has done wonders for the Fallout community, and if only some company had made some kind of video game product to go alongside the show.
You'd think that would be a great idea.
Part of me wants to get this book.
I'll just add Walton Goggins to Fallout 76.
Part of me wants to get this book just to see California in a less shit state.
It does seem like they're focusing more on the first game though too, so it's like
good. Which I didn't expect them to do. I figured they were going to stick to Bethesda's timeline.
I guess what they'll probably do is they'll kind of establish it but they'll kind of go over maybe like the series of timelines and stuff like that leading up to what happens in the TV series. So I can only assume, but we'll see for sure. It very well might be that all of these will be very much like different year snapshots, which isn't a bad thing either. Because it does help for seeing that there is technically a time going by in the Fallout world. So yeah.
me when I open up the New California book and there's just a picture of modern day Bakersfield.
Yeah. So this was an interesting one, and I don't know enough about this game to know if this would be a good RPG or not. But apparently, The Division, the video game done by Ubisoft, the Tom Clancy's Division, is getting an RPG version of it.
I can.
How does that work?
I can speak to this. The Division is actually kind of a universe that's set up for this kind of stuff. It's,
okay.
I don't know if you know. You're basically operators going into a disease-ravaged New York and dealing with problems.
Okay.
And then the second one is a bit more complicated. I think the world actually just fully ended in the second one.
Because I'm not gonna lie, I don't know how good an RPG it would be, but like something, because I played a lot of Rainbow Six Siege. I'm not gonna lie, you probably could make something out of like that.
The Division plays a lot more like a Borderlands-y RPG, where it's a bullet sponge RPG.
So this is already getting into the RPG.
It's already like a somewhat of an RPG,
rather than a concept that I could see maybe being an RPG, like a
it's not like
military
Rainbow Six Siege, where it's just a mill. I don't want to say mill sim because
a paramilitary group doing stuff in the world. I don't know.
I'm gonna be honest. One of the cool things about this is you could actually do like a lot of stuff with it, what is it? Like you could probably do like is it Escape from Tarkov? Is that the one where like you're in Russia and there's like a radiation stuff. I feel like you could
That
do
is
That's Stalker, but
which is
Stalker.
Ukraine.
Thank you.
But Tarkov
Yeah.
would be another kind of thing that probably would fit. That's like an area that's been kind of cordoned off as it. That's more of a.
But by
But
the
anyway, my
sounds of-
point is,
Mhm.
it sounds like you could do a bunch of stuff like that where you could use this game if it's going to be based around like some kind of disease. There's a surprisingly large number of stories like that.
Yeah, by the sounds of it, by the little blurb, it seems like it's going to be in between the first and second game.
Okay.
Since it's the green poison, which is not what I know it as. Because I believe in the first game they call it the dollar flu because it was spread via money. But yeah, I guess it's probably going to be set between the first and second game. So you're in that collapse period.
Okay.
Oh, green poison. That makes sense. If the dollar flu and green poison, that
Yeah.
because of green money.
It was actually a really cool plot because a bioterrorist infected a bunch of money with droplets and spread it through New York.
So yeah, it does sound like a interesting direction for that.
And hey, if you want to spend an absurd amount of money, they just remastered the Division 1.
I'm not really
Conveniently, they announced the remaster after the Division 1 went off of a really good discount. Because if you own Division 1, I think you got it for like $5.
interesting.
Not Ubisoft being scummy. How could they?
Oh right, this is Ubisoft. I was like, oh, I should look at the game maybe, and then I remembered, oh wait, it's Ubisoft. I do not want to buy that game.
Yeah. So like
Ubisoft being a terrible company?
Yeah.
I'm
Look,
shocked.
if it's by EA or Ubisoft, I don't buy it. I just assume it's gonna either like take tons of resources, even with a good computer. I assume it's gonna like require me to log into their services. I assume it's just going to also like require me to be permanently online. I'm just gonna assume it has a ton of bugs that nobody ever fixes. That kind of stuff.
As much as I like Division 1 and 2, I probably would not buy a third game.
Yeah.
So yep.
I might get the RPG.
Yeah, that might be a good way to continue to like look into the franchise and stuff without really supporting them the same way with a full game. So Free League is also giving us another thing here. Hey, cool! They're giving us a set of adventures, an anthology of them for Coriolis. That's one of their sci-fi settings. Again, I always talk about how anthologies of little adventures is pretty good, and I'm not gonna lie, most of the ones that we see tends to be, fantasy stuff. So a little bit of sci-fi adventures is pretty good there too, I think.
I am kind of happy about all of the sci-fi stuff that's coming out because sci-fi RPGs are such a shallow pond.
Yeah. I mean, the only reason I'm borderline interested in the Exodus RPG is if no one's gonna make a Mass Effect RPG, that one's gonna do it for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's an unfortunate thing that like fantasy has been explored so much more, and we do have some core tenets of some more sci-fi related RPGs, but not a lot in comparison.
The issue with fantasy is you can make a pretty unique fantasy. Sci-fi is all pretty similar.
Yeah.
The problem is that's just not true. Like, if you really dive into sci-fi, it can be just as diverse. The problem is like, you only have like 3 versions of sci-fi RPGs. And that's the problem, I think sci-fi RPGs are all the same, even though there's a very diverse
I think
sci-fi.
what it is sci-fi can be diverse, but there's certain concepts which are always going to be the same with sci-fi, the way that it has to work. Usually if you're doing like a more straight up sci-fi. If you're doing something like a sci-fantasy, that's different. But if you're just doing with actual science, like there are different ways of doing it. Like, and I think as we go in
Apocalypse,
time...
Far Future,
yeah.
Then you've got space opera. There's so much.
What I'm saying is there are things you can do, but it's the kind of thing of like the crux. I'm saying like it's not that there aren't. It's the crux of magic cheats in fantasy many times because you can do a lot more crazy shit that you don't have to like build something on to excuse it. I think is the kind of thing entirely like that. No matter what kind of sci-fi you're doing, you're still building off of science. I think that's the idea.
Multiverse, kaiju,
big old monsters.
Solarpunk.
Cypher's getting a new edition by Monty Cook. I don't know if we talked about this or not. I think we might have mentioned it before, but we have some better information on the character rulebook and Game Master Guide coming out later this year. They're part of their open game license, of course, and they have some prices for them. But so I was on 100% of we to mention it, but again, with a little bit more information, I just felt to mention it again, regardless. If I didn't mention it before, hey, new addition to the Cypher system is coming out. If not, hey, cool, great, I'm redoing it. All right.
That's one of those systems I want to play at some point.
So, Worm, you got a couple books. We'll finish out this segment with that.
So I got Starfind, I got the Hellfire Crisis, which I'll talk about first because I don't have as much to say about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just describing kind of the area and its wars after the God of War was murdered.
Okay.
And how, like, basically after that, like, some people were assassinated. Plus, there's like the shard of war is in the area which people are fighting over. There's a whole wall thing. The wall between two places is the front, but then there's a lot of other things, like the Arch of Aroden is being used to by Cheliax to basically restrict trade into the inner sea.
Yeah.
I almost said Mediterranean Sea.
It's basically the same
and they're doing a bunch of stuff. I know. But basically, it just goes over kind of all the people involved and like basically, if you wanted to set a plot in this, what kind of the setting is.
It's one of those things that I guess it's codifying what all the 1E Cheliax books, what the result of was that, basically, I'm assuming.
Yeah, they also went through and added a bunch of subclasses and stuff, archetypes and, not subclasses, archetypes, and stuff that haven't been remastered yet.
Okay.
So they're adding some remastered stuff in here.
Cool. There's a little bit of remastering stuff. Again, as I said, I think the big thing is probably just not only talking about this area, but like, hey, we did a whole bunch of stuff in first edition. Some things happened. We really should talk about that. We really didn't. I guess we'll let you know what the quotations official results of the adventure were. Good luck on that one then.
Well, I think this is also leading up to the Hell Wars or whatever.
Yeah, the new adventure that's going to be happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
It's kind of setting things up for that as well. But honestly, far more interesting is the Galactic Ancestries book. And the reason I think it's far more interesting is because of its potential use with Pathfinder as well. So, first off, one thing I want to point out. So they have this page is like the indices or whatever, or the table of contents. That's the word.
Mm-hmm.
What I find really funny is it's way nicer when you view it in the book than the PDF. It shows like a picture of every race, every ancestry here, whereas it doesn't. But yeah,
Okay.
so they go over the core ancestries. They add more options for the core ancestries from the book, from the core rulebook. Then they go over legacy ancestries, basically the ones from Pathfinder core rulebook.
Okay.
And what those would look like in the sci-fi setting. Then they add in a whole bunch of new ancestries. And then they have 2 versatile heritages. Gap touched, which I think is new. I don't think there was a gap touched kind of thing in first edition.
No, I do believe I agree with you. There was something related to it, but it's very back end of Starfinder's releases was stuff that they dealt with the gap directly like that. So
gap touched is someone who remembers something from the gap, but nobody will believe them or understand them if they try and explain it.
Interesting.
Actually, let me read the little excerpt. Let me go to it and read it because I liked it. Where is it?
Yeah. Second edition.
Gap-touched individuals live a strange truth that that even they struggle to understand. And then it just does random string of gibberish. So it's like, yeah. So that's the truth that'll, and it's like, scientists haven't been able to prove any. Like scientists have looked into it, but they kind of deem them crazy because nothing they say ever nothing they say can ever be verified. You know, it's like this whole thing. Anyway, it's kind of interesting. And then they also added android, and then the other mixed ancestry is androids for other races, basically.
Okay.
Non-human android.
That makes sense too for having those beyond
or other versatile heritage. But the thing I wanted to talk about, which I really liked, and I can go over if you're curious what races are in this. I can just go over that real fast. Oh, and no, that's too long. I don't want to do that. I don't want to explain it either. But the thing I really liked, standardized ancestry feats.
Okay.
They're basically a list of ancestries that not any ancestry can have, but it's basically a point to where they can limit how much they have to write. They don't like basically, for example, let me give you an example. Which I was looking for. Yeah, ancestral skill. You have the keen interest in the origins of your people. You become trained in the skill listed in your ancestry skill entry. If you would automatically become trained in one of those skills. So it's basically like, you know how like in Pathfinder, every single like ancestry has like a ancestry skill basically thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like it's like, oh, you get the heritage and a skill, ancestry lore. You get an additional lore associated with your ancestry. They basically standardized it into these. And they basically will just say, and now in the, like, when you go to, like, the, the ancestry thing, it'll just give you a list of, like, the standardized ancestries they have. Like, here's this whole thing at the top that says it. And the reason I like this is because it also says you can use this to customize ancestries, and by taking these ancestries and changing them up, you can customize them into new, like, species and races and stuff. And it's basically something which I've talked about is the biggest flaw of Pathfinder, that it's so much work to make your own ancestry.
Yeah, I agree.
And this basically gives you a template for a chunk of it, and you can just then mix and match other things, which I think is wonderful. I think they could still do a full book about making your own ancestries. They really need to do that. But I think for a space game where a lot of people will play their own settings and stuff, it makes sense to include something like this.
I can see that then.
So it's like, I still think it's lacking. It's not great. It's very basic, but I think it's a very wonderful first step to like helpful ancestry creation for Pathfinder.
It's definitely something that could be used if you really wanted to. Interesting. Okay.
Because there's a bunch of them. Like, it's not just like skills. I mean, look at this list. It's like you can see, and there's probably like 30 of them. So it's you can definitely use that to make your own or to adjust your creatures if you wanted to, like, let's say make a ancestry from a different world or play your own setting, for a space. It's space. So I think it's cool. I think it's a cool idea.
Yeah. Cool.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Those are the books. But yeah, basically it's just a bunch of extra ancestries. Yeah. Honestly, if you run a Starfinder game, I kind of want to play the sentient fungus who takes over people, or takes over like an animal.
Yeah, the N2 colony.
Yeah, the N2.
Yeah,
that one sounds fun, just because it does. I don't know.
The only thing I did look into all the ones they list, and I found a site that was talking about like most of the ones they list here, and I think it's the big list here. I can say that 5 of the names are not ones from the big normal list. They could have been on like one of the secondary lists or something like that. And it sounds like a couple of the ones that I didn't find on the old first edition Archives of Nethys list are probably ones that were from other sources. So there's like a couple new, like really new ones, but there was also some ones that were like, this is just an alien mentioned, now it's an ancestry. There was other ones that were like, in places but not explored very much. I think one of them is it says here was in a Starfinder Society book, so it was like something kind of like external, but now it's like actually explored. So yeah, so it's mostly returning stuff because there was a lot of like species they introduced.
I mean, let's be real. When you update your whole system that has as many races and like before, you could fit a full ancestry on a page. Now it takes 2 to 4 pages. You know,
it's gonna take them a while, and they'll probably have their list of ones they really want to, and some that they might not explore. But they had like a good like 40 or 50.
In fact, I'm surprised they didn't call this Galactic Ancestries 1. Let's be real. They really should have.
Yeah, they're going to re-explore this at some point in time, definitely. You know, there's a lot more with a space setting. This is one of those ones that we can definitely see more of in the future. So cool.
Then again, I guess Monster Core, they just called Monster Core and then Monster Core 2, so they didn't number the first one. So never mind. They're definitely going to do more. It's just going to be
closer setting.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
It'll be a while before they do that, though. Obviously, I can see why this came out immediately because I'm still surprised they did this book before they did the technology book that's going to have space combat, but because in my opinion that's slightly more important than this. But
I agree, but I can also see why they didn't. But I do agree with you on that. Should we talk about Adepticon? Or AKA 11th edition for Warhammer got announced.
Yeah. That was the big one, yeah.
Yeah. So I have the 2 links you had given. I'll put these into chat if you have any more.
I can post the big master documents for all the announcements as well.
I'll put the 2 links to the ones you put into the Discord chat. Then I'll grab that other one.
So, yep. Like I predicted, 11th edition is here. Well, not here yet. It's here in June, I think, was the window.
It's one of those things. It's like it was a very predicted thing to be coming. Honestly, just because of you know how things were going and how the Warhammer community works at this point in time. How the editions seem to kind of
there's a cycle to these things.
Yeah.
Now the thing I'm most shocked about is the fact that they announced a box that wasn't Ultramarines. They remembered other Space Marine chapters exist.
That's a lie. They don't do that. There are no other ones.
We're getting Blood Angels this time.
Uh-huh.
And I ignore the fact that probably has to do with the fact that like Dawn of War 4 is coming out.
Ooh. I mean, look, you know, I don't know what else to say. So, how do we want to go over like what they like the big things that was announced there, and then kind of go into the edition, or how do you want to go about this?
So we'll go over the big announcements. We had a bunch of new models. We had another more Primaris Space Marines, which are fine. Reading a new War Boy. The Orc Boys got announced. They look cool. We got a bunch of Age of Sigmar stuff.
Yeah.
More Cities of Sigmar. There's some Middle Earth stuff. The thing I want to complain about real fast is we got a new kill team, which is the Red Terror hunts Astra Militarum, and I'm upset that they didn't make a Catachin.
That was the thing that Bricky was saying, and I saw his video about this.
Catachin sounds like a Pokemon.
They're like the Rambo planet.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can describe them.
It's the planet that's like so deadly that everyone that can survive
it's
there
like
is
a
basically
mix of Rambo and Predator.
Yeah. It's on the list of like, this is a death world, enjoy. Which there is levels of death world. There's the death world that people can find a way to live on, and a death world that you just are going to die there.
You know, there's the death world, like the death world of Krieg, where you can live relatively safely in your underground hive city. Then there's, you know, Catachin, where if you look at a frog run, it explodes like a nuke.
Where you know that if you know how to work with those frogs and live around them, you're okay, but you have to like teach yourself like the ways of the jungle. And then there's the place that like summons weird elemental golems to murder you if you land on it. You know, you're not living there. Anyway, no, I do kind of agree with that. It's just like they do use a lot of Cadians for guard, which I mean, like,
it's because Cadian is the like template for guard.
Yeah, but their planet exploded.
Well, there's still a lot of them, to be fair.
I know. They've gone from like we have a planet to like we're now just out in the galaxy making more soldiers because that's all we do anymore for revenge.
Yeah.
Gurrah, our planet exploded.
And it recently revealed only the planet of Cadia fell. The Cadian Gate is still standing.
Okay.
Also, this kill team brings back Zote, which is weird. The weird Tyranid. The talky ones.
I was thinking when you said Zote, my brain immediately went to Hollow Knight.
They're
I
like
did say
a
two for
like a
me!
lizardy. They're like a lizardy centaur, and they can talk.
Why does a Tyranid need to talk?
I don't know. They were a thing for a while, but I guess they're bringing them back. We get a new TV show that no one cares about. I'm just gonna be real honest.
Is that the plain
No one
TV
watches
show?
Warhammer Plus content. It's the plain TV show. No one cares about it.
Yeah.
We got a Mephiston statue that's gonna be way too expensive.
Yeah.
Those are cool.
And then we got the return of the best named dork from 7th edition, was Daka Gutsmech.
It's a name.
His cool bike.
Yep.
He's the leader of the Speed Freaks.
Yeah.
His model looks cool. That's all I can say about it.
Yeah.
People are torn about it. They say his model looks too cartoony. I think it looks fine.
He's an orc.
He's meant to be silly.
Yeah. Orcs
Also, we got some new cool-looking tanks for guard.
The tanks were really nice look, but I don't know guard tanks, so I'm like, okay, those look neat. Are they better than the ones they've had before?
They'll probably be fine. They're probably gonna. They're currently painted Cadian, but in like 2 years when the Steel Legion box comes out, I assume people are gonna start painting them proper what they're supposed to be.
Well, it's like the entire thing of like, I found it interesting for the mobile battle fortress from Age of Sigmar that was basically Howl's Moving Castle, but what if it was a cannon?
Yeah, pretty much.
Where they're like, it could technically be in any faction because a bunch of them are mercenaries, and also you could like steal one and take it over. So even like the brat people of Skavens can have one, you know. Yep. So you can use it anywhere. That I found interesting for a model, you know, because like it has its origins and its stories, but you could like fit it in other places, and I feel bad like, you know, that they don't do that more often. But I guess it's sort of like, you know, generic Space Marine could be anyone depending on how you paint it, though, too. But
exactly. Also, I think we did get new Skaven stuff for Sigmar as well, or one of them.
Yay, rats!
And then we got Ogren for Horus Heresy. Those are the model reveals.
Again, me as not someone collecting it, it seemed.
I think they look pretty.
Yeah.
The real meat and potatoes was 11th edition, obviously.
Yeah. So.
Well, where do you want to start? Because you've seen a video on it.
I've seen a video on it. I've seen some discussion on it. I think there's certain things that, like, there's aspects that go beyond what I know about for the game, but there are aspects they discuss that I can understand how they're bigger changes and interesting changes. So the changes to objectives and to victory mechanics I thought were the most interesting thing, because that's the big thing I could understand, how when you go into a fight, your faction, your army will have, because it used to be just objective marker, we both fight for it, right? I'm assuming. Now it's one might have, I have to take over this spot, and the other group might be, I have to kill all of you, which are, you know.
I'm gonna counterpoint you, because I have a very important counterpoint. I forget if it was 9th or 10th edition. They had this.
Oh.
Has a big problem, and the reason it was removed in 10th. The biggest problem with this was there were certain armies you would play where you would just get an immediate, like, 20 points because you accomplished your thing incredibly quickly. Grey Knights were really bad for it. That's why everyone hates Grey Knights. So I'm hoping they do it better this time.
So it sounds like they wanted it to be more faction-based for those options, so maybe it could be that, like, when it was more generic, Grey Knights would have the generic ones, but now we're going to give ones that to Grey Knights that would be challenging for them and
we
their
can hope, or like they're gonna do what I think they're gonna do and just sunset Grey Knights, because again, everyone hates them.
again, they also talked about how they want to be more narrative for their rules too. Which
Yes, the reinjection of narrative is good because I found 10th edition very boring.
it's the thing of like, I understand from everybody's discussions because again, I don't know the full rules, but people have been talking about how it's been very cut and dry and like, okay, cool, great, and the narrative idea. But it's that entire thing of like, I like this concept for you, but like from everything I've seen, you're kind of bad at combining the two of those, so I worry about
Yes.
it.
Yeah, that's my concern. Now, something that was pointed out, they did announce over 70 new immediate detachments, which on paper, that looks super cool and great until you remember that, like, 2/3 of those are going to be Space Marine.
I heard that joke before. I saw that someone say that, about that this week. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, technically, some of those 2/3 could be Chaos Space Marines.
Yeah, like, it's going to be... A lot of those are going to go to various Space Marines, because the Salamanders are going to get one, the Night Lords are going to get some, and then everyone else gets, like, maybe... I assume it's going to be 2 per faction, 2 or 3.
I assume
so
that,
a decent amount, but quite small.
But I assume also that they probably won't redo any, like, a lot of, or certain groups of them.
Probably
like,
not.
Ones that they had, like, books from 10th edition, so you don't really need, like, I don't know what Space Marine factions came out. I'm assuming, like...
I mean, we got new Emperor's Children, we got new World Eater stuff.
The ones that I could point out are probably the ones that
things
have
like
the Chaos Primarchs. It's like Thousand Suns.
We mostly got
Guard.
Chaos stuff.
Yeah.
And Ultramarine stuff this year.
Because those are the ones I know have miniatures. So I'm like, the Chaos Primarchs that have miniatures, I'm like, they probably had their factions get, like, books, or maybe those are some of the newer ones. Okay. The only other thing I heard about that I recognize is the 2... What is it? You just said it. For the 70 new... you can have 2 detachments. Things they're talking about.
Yeah. The other big thing, which was a huge problem in 10th, was the idea of stratagem stacking. Which a stratagem is an ability you spend your command points on to buff a dude.
Okay.
You, in 10th, could put all of your command points into a single guy and make him unkillable.
Alright. Interesting.
So, like, if you would say just keep stacking Armor of Contempt on a single guy, that guy would not die. You can no longer do that in 11th edition, which is the biggest balance change that they're doing.
Okay.
Because it alleviates a lot of the bullshit.
It would, yeah. So basically, it's like per unit you would be able to use one, but you wouldn't be able to stack.
Yeah, we're not 100% sure on how it works yet. But by the sounds of it, you cannot stack multiple stratagems on a single guy anymore.
Okay, that's a big good thing there. What does the 2
detachments?
I don't know why detachments keeps leaving my brain, but has twice now today. And I've said the word.
How would
that work with 2 detachments?
Likely fine. Gives you more options.
Okay.
The reason they're likely doing 2 detachments is because detachments affects your objective now.
Okay, so it gives you more objective options. I can see that then there too. Okay. And then everybody that had objective markers apparently is SOL.
Yeah,
as
like
we were saying earlier,
you just crashed the merch market.
Yeah.
Overnight. There were so many crash outs. Or understandably so, quite frankly.
That's a strange one for them to do. I think that stepping back to, like, we kind of talked about, like, I don't know if we were live when we were talking about it, like the company stuff there too. I can't remember if we were or not at the beginning of this because my brain already is lost after an hour. But the fact is that they didn't, like, talk to anybody about that or, like, say something about that ahead of time. Where, like, even if they said, like, we're considering changing the rules on objective markers, that's like a hint that would be like, maybe we're getting rid of them.
No.
That could have gotten people out of the market. Because, like...
What I'm curious of is, because in the little preview stream, when they went over the No More Circles slide, it was just a rectangle on the board. So I'm wondering if the change is simply, well, they're rectangles and squares now.
That's just such a middle finger then, though, to like,
At least you can correct from that a little bit easier.
True, you already have the stuff on a thing.
Yeah, because I know the Poor Hammer podcast said, yeah, if it is just squares and rectangles, we're making new objective markers.
Yeah. They'll probably just change the shape on that then, too.
But it is like kind of a little bit of a rug pull. As it was announced, you could hear just the cries of every 40k YouTuber merch store going up in flames.
Guess that's because that's a really like big thing you can make a customized for like your merch, because there's not a lot you can probably do outside that.
It's gonna be up in the air. If it is just squares and rectangles, that's fine. If it is terrain that costs $80 to $100, then I think that's a little too much of a change. And people are just going to use objective markers still, outside of tournaments.
Well, also there's something about like terrain matters or something now a little bit more.
Yeah, terrain I think is supposed to cover hits, not saves, which is a little bit different. So basically, you can actually put your units into cover.
So cover to mean something. That sounds like it's
useful. It used to be like cover would be, oh, you've been shot. Now this gives a bonus to your save. Versus now this gives you're just harder to hit now.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds better than the other, because it's sort of like, well, I'm still hit. Maybe I'll get lucky too. Now I'm just hard.
Yeah. It's harder to hit.
Okay,
you can see why 10th edition is a frustrating game.
Yeah, there's more that I'm learning about the changes harkens back to why there was
There's
problems.
There's a reason I stopped at 9th edition. I really did not like 10th.
Interesting. Hopefully the next one's better.
We only hope. I'm just glad it's more than Ultramarines finally, because we had too much Ultramarine.
It does sound like for like Loyalist side, they're really the only ones they really dove into a lot.
Yeah, because it was the only two we really got this edition were Ultramarines and Dark Angels. Because that was Guilliman and the Lion being the big focus of 9th and 10th.
Yeah, which kind of sucks though too, because it's like that entire thing of, yes, you're more likely for the Demon Primarchs to show up again rather than the normal ones, but I think that's fine too. Like, yeah. I think I remember someone said that, like, yeah, it's sort of like they're less powerful as Demon Primarchs, but not, you can't kill them forever now. Like, it's sort of like, it was kind of like a downgrade in a way, but it's like they're like kind of unkillable instead.
There's a
trade-off.
Pretty good narrative thing of a Demon Primarch is not really a character anymore. It's more of a force in the universe versus if you bring a Loyalist back, you have to write an actual character.
Yeah. Like, yeah. It sounds like at very least the two they've brought back, they've done a good job of making characters for them.
I mean, they made the Lion much better of a character in 40k than he's in 30k. He's a little shitter in 30k.
He became an old man and got he got crotchety, but he also like learned lessons. So it's like, I'm old and kind of angry now, but I'm angry at the right things.
And Guilliman got depression.
Like, he did get depression. What was it? I heard someone talking about in one of the stories. He's taking off his suit that keeps him alive, and it's like, it's only a little death. I got to get used to it.
The reason for that is in a short story, he went to the Eldar, and they figured out a way of, if you keep taking the armor off for a time and then putting it back on, you're going to slowly heal that warped poison that's in your body.
Okay.
Whether or not that still can, I don't know, because the first two Plague Wars books were retconned immediately.
No, they've retconned by the third one. That was hilarious to learn about. Look, I'm not gonna lie. As much as this game is relatively interesting, like some of the stories are so much better.
It's what happens when you have an ongoing world for like 40 years.
You've built an interesting setting. I'm sorry. It's kind of like, I'm not gonna lie.
As much as the end times sucked for Warhammer Fantasy, Age of Sigmar is just a better universe right now.
it's exactly like a lot of those other long going franchises. I'm pointing at you, Star Wars. A lot of your external stuff beyond the movies tend to just be so much better after the first three, you know. But it's just like you've got all these great books and stories and interesting things you're establishing and all this like world building, and then Disney threw most of it out. Fuck you, Disney. Anyway,
Fair.
Shall we move on to our remaining news topics? Yeah, I think that was a good hit there. So I got a little bit of some other TCG such mini news, and the other mini news I can talk about is we are getting a technically new core rulebook for Battletech. I think I've talked a few times more about like Mech Warrior, because Mech Warrior is the Battletech RPG, but this Battletech
Mech Warriors,
this is the
minigame. Mech Warriors the RPG.
They're getting a streamlined thing, a new starter box, so that's very good there too. So if you want to get into the more like because also
it's been 20 years since we got new rules.
Yeah. So it's good to have a refresher on the actual, like, if I'm just doing that rules. Granted, again, these minis can be used with the RPG, because most of the times in the RPG, you still have a big old stompy mech.
Also worth pointing out, it is not a new edition, it's just a rules update.
Yeah.
Just streamlining.
Yeah. It's not meant to be, like, a full rehash of the rules. The rules apparently are good enough. You know, and I guess
by the sounds of the little blurb, it's clan era, so that's the end-ish of the timeline. So
it's the current. It's the
maybe
current
it's the current. So maybe if this does well enough, they'll start this doomed franchise up again.
As much as it is very doomed, I did like, and as much as it wasn't for me,
I love BattleTech.
I do love it too. I thought it was very honestly. I loved learning about the full timeline because I only knew parts of that. I really do like. Again, I think the video game that came out like a couple years ago, I think it was great. Wasn't for me, but was great. You know, I could see how it was a very good game. It's just I wasn't big on the management. As I always said about it, if I was managing one mech, I think I would have been okay with it. But managing like a group, a team of mechs was too much for me.
You might prefer like I think it was like Mech Warriors 5 mercenary kind of game where you are just playing that one mech.
Yeah, I think that's the better kind of one of it. It's like rather than this. Again, it was a fun game. It was very interesting. I liked the combat mechanics and stuff. Like I liked managing the group, you know. But if it was just like you could hire on some NPCs with their like mechs already in tow, and like then use them, and then they have their stories, and you can choose the different ones. Then I don't have to play with their mechs.
The real selfish reason that I hope this does well in revised BattleTech is that means that Shadowrun might get a proper revival.
I definitely think a 7th edition would be good at this point in time. I'm not going to lie.
We're currently just at 6th World, which is a cleanup of 6th, which is still not very good from what I've heard.
Every time we talk about one of the books, it dives deep into something that they like honestly gutted in 6th edition. So it's sort of like we're reintroducing a lot of that complexity with these new books. And I'm like, I just had a lot. You could have just done what all the other editions had and had most of the stuff in the core book and then expanded upon it rather than we have to fix it and then we can expand upon it a little bit, you know?
I actually developed a theory that people probably said their games were way too complicated, so they gutted a bunch of stuff, when in reality the problem was just their organization was so abysmal that it was hard to understand.
I could see that.
Yeah, I horrifically agree on that one. Their organization in earlier editions is so bad. Really is.
No, that's my personal theory about why they gutted 6 so much.
I mean, like, we've been doing some 5th edition now. We haven't dove so deep into it, but I'm not gonna lie, it's not bad complexity. I don't feel like. I feel like when we figure out what
it's less complex than 4th.
Yeah.
Let me put it this way: I've never played Shadowrun.
Mm-hmm.
It's and I'm someone who likes to read rulebook like TTRPG rulebooks for fun.
Yeah.
This is honestly the most convoluted and like complex system. Well, sorry, like here's the thing: you are correct. The system itself is not complex.
I was gonna say the organization is very
terrible.
The issue is because of the way it's organized, it's so hard to understand.
Yeah, that was my entire idea about it too. Yeah, it's like
I've luckily for me with my previous at least 4E knowledge, 3 sessions, I've kind of hit a flow state of okay, I kind of mostly know these mechanics.
Yeah. Again, it's for me, it's sometimes like my brain is very like 4E coded, and I have to be like, no, it's 5E we're working on, so I've got to like.
Yeah,
correct
there's a
few
lot
things.
of stuff that's different.
It is very subtle things here and there, but it is like there are little differences here and there about stuff too. Like some of like the skills and stuff too. I'm like trying to figure out which one's which between the two of them, you know, and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure I just want to finish up with this one because every time Union Arena adds a new game or anime to their thing, I find it weirder and weirder that this hodgepodge of, you know, anime IPs just gets weirder. They're adding Nikkei to that one. I don't know if we mentioned that.
The Gooner Gacha game.
It's the Gooner Gacha game, and it's coming out in October. And I'm like, didn't we? I'm pretty sure we added a different Gacha game more like in the last year to this one. So I'm like, how are you continuing on this path, Union Arena? It's got to be successful enough it works, because that's one of those things. Is I do hear about Union Arena, but it's not a lot, but it's got to be successful enough that they keep doing this. I get more and more curious about this game the deeper we get. You know,
I imagine it's
so
probably quite popular overseas.
Because it is basically, what if every anime and like video game that's very anime coded is in one game a lot of times.
I imagine most of the market is probably in Japan.
Yeah, that might make sense, definitely. So yeah. So there you go.
Me when I open my card pack and it doesn't have jiggle physics.
It won't. Unfortunately for you, if that's what you're looking for. Goddamn. Sorry, I just gotcha games are just so too much for me. They're just too much for me. I'm like,
look, some of them are a lot.
I'm like, I don't mind a good like sexy thing here and there, but they just go over this level for me. You know, they're just a little too insane. You know,
like when you've got your Hoyo games and which is mostly tame. Arc Knights goes a little bit with it, and then beyond that, you're just in full Gooner territory.
So, I have a topic to talk about today, and it's a topic we put on the list, and I have a very interesting way of addressing the topic that I wanted to talk about, and that's, because we're skipping over board games, I didn't find anything for that. Combining genres in your RPGs, and I wanted to talk about this, because we can kind of talk about it, and it does that here, and I think I wanted to address this in a idea of surface thought. First of all, you can do this with whatever. If you have like two or more genres, you can throw them together. No matter what, you can figure it out. Cool.
Most genres work together.
Yeah, most genres work together just for you. I think what I wanted to break it down is there are two types of genres when we talk genres for these things. I think there are setting genres and there are story genres. And I think that's where it can become more challenging. Like setting genres, those are easy to combine together in general. You can come up with some crazy shit with combining two settings together or more, but you can. Again, that's like sci-fantasy is science fiction and fantasy together. You come up with something like a Shadowrun, or that's cyberpunk fantasy, cyberpunk fantasy. But still, when it comes to, I think, combining a setting with a, story-based genre, I think that's easy too. I think it comes to being maybe the most challenge when you combine like two story ones. Would you agree with that one? Like a horror, like making a horror RPG.
Oh, okay. So like themes.
Yeah,
as
I'd
genres.
Say themes as genres. You know, like a more comedy kind of thing. It's technically kind of more genre.
That's a lot harder. Yeah, you have to be a good writer for that.
But that's kind of what I mean for like the story-based ones are a lot more of those like they're themes /
like
genres.
If I'm running a fantasy game, which I often do, as I play a lot of D&D, which is a fantasy game. Unless you're in person, injecting like horror into your game is actually really hard.
Yeah.
Even unless you're what?
Unless you're in person or have like a really good tech setup.
Yeah.
Injecting horror is very difficult.
I think horror is one of those ones that kind of fits both lines because it can kind of be a setting, but it can also be a story element. I think the setting, that's the easy part of it. You can kind of be in a horror setting, but then it's like, it might not be very horror-ish to your players. You know, that's why I think like a lot of horror RPGs handle the one. We make a spooky setting, but like, are your characters going to be spooked
like if you're playing
probably not
in person, you can adjust lighting on the fly and things like that. Versus online, it's I can't reach through my computer and turn your lights off.
Yeah. I think it comes down to like that any story can be told. I think that's the kind of backing off of that entire thing, kind of from the front of it, is you can pretty much tell any type of story you want to tell with these kind of things when you've got an idea about it. It's just that I think there are certain ones that are definitely like certain genres in general, which are more challenging. Okay. And then I would also say like combining them, please don't. Just because it's like, it's not that you couldn't do a good game, but the chances of it being successful and great are very low. And I'm kind of like just give you that advice of just maybe not try to push your luck.
If I'm running, like, again, I off do a 40k game, there's a lot of story settings and themes I can put into that. Something like a romance, very hard to. Anything lighthearted doesn't really work with Warhammer. But on the flip side, with like a Faerun, going super dark with Faerun is also quite hard.
Yeah.
You know, I do want to say, when you say horror as like a setting, I actually disagree with that. Arguably, if you're gonna call a setting something, it's more the setting should be dark fantasy,
Right.
And then you do
the
dark fantasy
genre.
Horror.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a better way of saying it too. I agree on that one then. Yeah. You've done a good correction on it.
Sorry, I spent some time looking up what that was called because I knew there was a term for
it.
I just had forgotten the term for it, honestly, at the moment.
Yep.
As soon as you mentioned it, yes, it's dark fantasy. But yeah, no, I think it's sort of like
or gothic fantasies
and I think there are exceptions to this. Let's say like I'm doing a Warhammer 40k game, and for whatever reason I'm doing an orc game. There's going to be a level of comedy to that. Now, orcs are horrific to anybody in the Imperium and stuff.
Yeah, the trick with orcs is it's only funny if you're the orc.
Yeah, but if you're playing them, it could be a little bit of a kind of comedy game to a degree. I don't think it would be easy to run because I don't know if there's got any goddamn rules for playing as them, and you might have to make
in Wrath and Glory, there's orc rules.
Okay, so there are some rules somewhere that you could play with, and you could have that level.
But Wrath and Glory is a very different compared to Warhammer roleplay.
Yeah, but it could be. But that's the kind of thing is, other than that, normally you're not getting that in a lot of ways.
You can have your moments of levity in a very dark world, but when you try to do lighthearted themes in a dark world, you're meshing tones a little too much.
Yeah, I think the other thing I'm going to say about this is not meant to be like there's a one-off scene or like or small things. This is meant to be the theme of the entire story and game you're telling through the role-playing game. Like, you could easily do, as you said with Faerun, you could easily do a Faerun game where maybe you're trying to reunite a long-lost love. This person with their love, and you have to cross over this like mountain range filled with dangerous things. That's a story of love that you're trying to help out with there. You could bond with the NPC you're accompanying, who's probably like some dipshit prince or something. Who can't really defend himself very well, and maybe you could help him learn to use a sword or something. And there could be this entire storyline of your characters bonding with this NPC and helping out his love, and that could be the story, or personal characters could have growth and love and that stuff. That gets a lot of into the themes of more character growth, I think, with that one for like romance. But again, like you could also do very silly games, and they're comedy games. They are hard to run more than a session, I'm not going to lie.
I think there is maybe one system, at least one that I know of, that breaks this rule. Or that breaks this idea that combining like a sillier game with a darker toned RPG or world is hard. It's called Pathfinder because the setting called Golarion has literally everything.
Golarion is some weird hodgepodge.
Here's the thing, though. If you are doing like a darker game, you actually need comedy interjected. There's a reason why, because it actually helps make the darker parts darker by actually having lighter parts.
Yeah.
So it's like I know it. So if
you just
if
you don't want too much comedy.
Yeah, I mean, so like if you're taking a dark setting, you don't necessarily want to like make a light campaign. But if you're doing a dark campaign, you definitely want light moments.
Like you don't want to do Curse of Strahd, but Strahd's a clown.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Again, it's that entire.
I don't know. There are horror clown movies.
There are horror clown movies, but I think it's not horror clown, like actual clown. You know,
I know.
Squeaky shoe.
Yeah, it's this entire thing of that is there are definitely a lot of things in the world that have explored a lot of interesting combinations of these things, and I guess that's an easy way for you to look up some ideas if you're trying to like do this. And also, it's the thing of when we're talking about this, we're usually going to be talking about starting with an existing RPG, and the existing RPG is going to have a style to it. Like, I could probably make a completely new world and different kinds of things for Shadowrun. I wouldn't use the Shadowrun world, but I'd have to use this if I'm using the same systems. I'm starting with a cyberpunk fantasy, and then if I add something else to it, I could probably and make my own world. But like, I could probably do like a cyberpunk fantasy western that's now Shadowrun, but cowboys on like a weird alien planet, maybe. You know,
Wild West.
Yeah, it's like it's a entirely different world that's like Wild West, except you're cyberpunk fantasy. We're maybe a little Cowboy Bebop, but fantasy.
That's very like Cowboy Bebop. Like Destiny has a little bit of that.
But you can do that because you understand where you're starting from and then adding those things. And as I said, settings are probably
really old TV show called Defiance.
Yeah. I forgot that's old now.
I don't know. I feel like
it's an old TV show at this point.
Yeah, I feel like if you really want to do, you can make any genre out of anything. Like if you really wanted to, like if you really wanted to, like the bigger issue I think with RPGs is, do you like if you're going to do a comedy game or out of like Warhammer setting, I don't think you want to use the Warhammer rules. That's the big thing.
You definitely don't want to use the rules where there's a table where if you roll bad, you just die.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the point that I think I'd get across is when you're doing, don't think that just because it's the setting you want, that it's the rules you want, especially if you're going against the genre.
Because you can't, like, you can, 100% comedy works in Warhammer. You have orcs, which, if you're an orc, it's silly. You have the Caiaphas Cain novels, which are the most popular 40K novels.
The adventures of a bunch of ogrins.
Like, you can do silly.
Yeah.
You just probably should not use the Warhammer roleplay. You should probably use Wrath and Glory.
And also say about this, about like some of the settings that are connected to RPGs, you can disconnect them from the actual mechanics of the RPG too. Like, I'm not going to lie. Granted, I would have to alter things, but I could just take Faerun and use the rules from Shadowrun. Yes, it would be now a weird cyberpunk fantasy version of Faerun, but I could do that.
Yeah.
It would be interesting and strange, but I can just do that, you know? And I've created something a little bit more on the fantasy side of the fantasy cyberpunk, you know? Maybe all this cyberpunk stuff, all the cyber technology is magic-based, you know? Now, instead of like that, it's someone made up magic cyber technology somewhere around the way, you know? That could be a thing.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, this is actually a question I plan to ask a lot because I actually plan to, when I finally get around to starting the podcast, I actually plan to try and set everything in my own custom settings. So that means if we play like the Star Trek RPG, I'll probably set it in my setting. I might not for ones like Star Trek and Star Wars and ones that have specific, but for something like Warhammer, I still feel like I could, but maybe not. You know, it depends.
It would be hard just because of how much stuff there is.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll take it piece by piece. I mean, like I said, it's gonna be like, it depends. It'll depend on the game. I'll have to look.
Oh yeah, no.
One thing I'll say is if you are gonna start like genre mixing really hard, you might want to look for a setting agnostic system.
That's a good one too.
Just have that disconnect a little bit.
The podcast
bigger.
is going to be to go over a bunch of just try out a bunch of RPGs. So it's more going to be, when if I can get away with it, if I feel I can, I'll probably set it. Especially since honestly, if you go, a lot of smaller RPGs tend to be setting agnostic.
Yeah,
which is why I'm planning to do this.
I I think it's also like
Bigger ones, I'll play it by ear.
I think it's also like if you are not looking to get outside of your wheelhouse for games you know how to play. Let's say you only know how to play 5e. I'm not going to lie. 5e, as much as people love to throw at it, there's a lot of types of games you really can't do with 5e. There are plenty you can do.
Yeah.
You can do fantasy versions of things like a spy thriller, definitely. You can do military stories. But there's also some of these things here, like military stories, nautical stories, pirate stories. You could do them in some of these worlds here, too. But it's also, like, mechanics, too. Like, I think that's the thing, is unless you want to invent a lot of rules, which you can, you have to deal with stuff. Like, I'm not going to lie. I'm glad they attempted it. It was bad. But you could do things like a legal thriller. They tried it in Carrion Crown. It wasn't great. But they tried it. You're the trial of the beast.
Actually, funny enough, I actually looked into a legal RPG. Now I need to remember to look. I need to look this up. It's on my list.
I would say the bigger problem for Carrion Crown was the fact that you had to do everything within 3 days.
That was the worst part of it. Yes, I horrifically agree.
In each town you had to go to was a day apart.
Yep. So, like, congratulations, you don't get sleep. But yeah, there, and even things like there too. There are different levels of things like that. There, in amongst all these different things. Like, I went and I just, before I was going to talk about this topic, I grabbed on Wikipedia the list of writing genres, and that was a very good place to kind of look at a bunch of these different here and be like, oh yeah, these are a lot of interesting ideas for different things when you're trying to talk about combining some of these. And like, as I said, some are a lot more tone or story rather than setting. And again, I think the biggest one that you might have the most trouble for is that tone one. You can combine certain tones together, but because you are telling the story, have to know how good you are at combining those tones, and things like that. Are you a very good writer at that? Because a setting, like physical setting, is the easiest thing to come up with something of in this entire genre combo of your games. I definitely think that tone stuff is going to be the most difficult part about it. And oftentimes the setting can help the tone, but yes.
Yeah, I just think it matters more when picking mixing when you're doing weird genre stuff. It's definitely better to take a look at the rules you're planning to use.
Oh yeah, I agree with that one. Rules are a great place to start out with it. Kind of.
But yeah, like you can really mix anything. Like that's the one thing I've kind of learned.
Yeah.
There's nothing sacred in role playing.
And that's why
in genres.
That's why I started out with saying you can do anything, at the beginning of this entire thing. It's just the more challenges are, the more things you mix together, the harder it is. And some things are less compatible than others, so it requires more work for you, and that could mean the difference between choosing the right system or coming up with your own rules if there are no systems that have the rules that you need for something you're doing.
I think I have a fairly easy time with genre mixing because I'm someone who grew up on a lot of like pulp magazine stories, which are in like pulp movies that are incredibly trashy, to the point where like my average D&D game is probably very similar to the movie Crawl in terms of writing quality.
Crawl is such a movie.
But sometimes it just doesn't work sometimes, and it's better to try it and find out why it doesn't work so you can fix it later.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think the other thing about this entire thing is, as you start your game off, you can oftentimes change the story's tone. You can start out with a goal one way, and if it doesn't seem like it's working, you can shift things. Now, there are big tonal things you can't get away from completely. So if you have a lighter-hearted tone, you can change from comedy to just lighthearted adventure. You don't have to go full comedy about it. You can just have something that's like a lighter, friendlier kind of maybe occasionally comedic thing there too. So you can't go full darkness unless you're doing like a dark comedy to start out with. But again, that's difficult because those two I feel like again aren't incompatible. They're just bigger challenge to start out with. And again, like they're probably been more difficult to adapt to one direction or the other, but probably to figure out something. Again, it's the flow state too, because as you're playing your game, things change. I think the only big thing is you really probably couldn't change setting very much unless like you came up with a really good story reason, like maybe all your characters on like one continent that is like one kind of setting, and like their story takes them like on an adventure away from there to a different setting. It's a little weird, but not impossible.
Yeah.
You know, maybe the continent they were on was cut off by like, you know, things that there wasn't really easy boats and stuff to travel in. Now they have a way to traverse it, and they're out in the world, and they're like, so when did you guys invent this? You know, you're like a Western out here. You got like weird guns and stuff like that. While we were all like fantasy magic back there. I mean, that's just visiting Alkenstar from Golarion. But
average Pathfinder game.
Or if you really want to go weird, the Deadshot lands over in Arcadia where it's magic guns. Everybody has magic guns. They really do have everything on Golarion. Me
when my Pathfinder party is 3 normal people and then a hobgoblin who throws bombs at guys.
Oh God. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So I guess the takeaway is, if you want to play your science, fantasy, romance, legal drama, go right ahead.
Try it. If it doesn't work, try it again.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work a second time, then maybe pick something else.
Maybe change the system you're in, or
maybe pick a new system.
Maybe pick a new system, or you know.
Look, there is a system for everything.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. Like, there are like actual systems built to be comedic. I'm not gonna lie. I'll pick up the one shot that Tiv ran many years ago of Trash Pandas. It's a like 2-page rule book.
Oh yeah.
And it's just you're playing raccoons that go on a race.
Yep.
That are pretending to be people in a race car. That's it. You're in a race with like humans, but you're panda. I'm sorry, not pandas. You're raccoons. It was silliness incarnate. I believe I like in that game did the Fonzie thing and just hit the vehicle and went, hey, and it started working again. So that was a comedy game. That's also why I say like comedy games, not impossible to do like full games of them, but they really do tend to be a lot of like one session.
It can become soul draining.
Yeah, so that's why I usually
being funny is hard.
That's why like one shots are much better for like very heavy comedy games.
Being consistently funny and entertaining is very difficult and very mentally draining.
Yeah, so that's why I would say like if you really want like a full comedy game, maybe just go like a very lighthearted game with some comedic moments, and that might be a lot better because not everybody has to be funny all the time. You know, a very lighthearted.
That's why my comedy consists of Leon Kennedy one-liners.
I'm not gonna lie, that's my comedy writing style. I'm not good at writing comedy, so like if I have to come up with stuff, it's going to be that level of things. Unfortunately,
You also really like situational comedy.
Yes, I'm better at that.
Where, for example, Innocent and his plane.
Oh, that was so funny.
They gave me that, and I love that because they
like,
gave me something and I ran with it. You know, this is the perfect setup.
But that's my point. But it's like you just make the situation funny without. It's not like ha funny, but it's like this is hilarious.
Like
it just makes you smile.
If I'm in a game and you give me a prompt, I can build off of that. You give me nothing, I'm not gonna be funny.
Again, that's another reason that I do like it, even though there's some issues with it. I do like the little pre-made adventure that Shadowrun does, at least from 4th edition. It's written in a way that's like, hey, you're gonna have to do some work here, but we're gonna give you some stuff to work off of. Then run with it. That's basically what they say. Is like, here's some stuff, run with it. Which again, like it is harder than, let's say, like a Pathfinder pre-made adventure or D&D pre-made adventure, but I've been enjoying it because it's a lot more, honestly, my style. A lot of times, I like that. Like I start with something and run with it. You know. Anyway. But that yeah, I think that was a good little dive into this. This has been something sitting in the like docket for like, I don't know, like a couple of years now of like topics, and I don't remember why we put it there.
Who knows?
So, you know, there are things that's on the docket, like things that I don't even know if we'll actually revisit, because it's sort of like I don't know why we would some of these from the older ones. But maybe we will. Maybe we still will. Shall we talk about what we played this week? Well, we have Joe's game tomorrow, so we didn't have it this week.
We do not have it tomorrow, but we also didn't have it last week. We're skipping this week because what's his face is out of town.
I forgot we're skipping this week. Are we coming back the next week then?
I think we're just doing a skip and we're gonna do a month.
That's fine. But I forgot about that. And that makes it easier because I was going to go to my grandmother's tomorrow and I was like, it's going to be a long day. And I'm like, that's so much easier and nicer then. As much as I like having...
relaxed.
It's the entire thing of, I'm fine with both of them, but when they're together on the same day, it's a very long Sunday,
Yeah.
I'm doing 4 hours of traveling, me and my dad going to go see my grandmother, who she's not going to remember it. She's a 101-year-old now.
Old.
Yeah. So, yeah. Still alive. I wouldn't call her kicking, but still alive. How about Monday and Tuesday? I'll turn it over to Momo since you've got those two games.
We had our Monday game. We killed a lot of people, and we leveled up again. We found some really cool wild magic crystals. And our unknowing cleric decided to use one for the first time and got teleported to the astral plane.
That seems
pleasant. Yeah, for about 6 seconds they experienced the most dread a person could ever feel.
Did they get better at least?
They're repressing it, I assume, because they didn't bring it up again.
Repression, always a good one.
There's just so much combat. We're level 3 now, and we still kind of suck because none of us can roll above 10. Turns out the hardest thing to hit is a dude in leather armor with a shield.
That is it's very silly, but I can understand that. Unfortunately, sometimes it's sort of sometimes you just you're in a position where it's I just can't hit this guy.
I think our fighter has hit total so far since the game has started maybe 4 times.
Oof.
Thankfully, it's 2024 rules where they're using a graze weapon, so they still do a little bit of damage.
How'd Tuesday go?
Tuesday went alright. We fought some kind of horrible spider woman creature. Literally it's a woman with a bunch of spider legs. That is really gross. We fought multiple of them. They're the Tian shapeshifter lady thing. Yeah, we fought. I don't know why we're fighting them here, but they're just in this book. That's how I feel about Pathfinder Adventure Paths. I don't care why this is here. It doesn't matter.
Sometimes they tell good stories about why something's there, and sometimes they just are it's there now.
It's here because they needed an enemy to fight.
Yeah.
We fought more rogue clerics. I hate them so much.
Rogue clerics.
I begging Pies to stop putting a rogue on every creature they can.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I agree with you. After
we never got to mimics, I think was my breaking point.
It was Carrying Crown, and we never got to it. But rogue mimics and Carrying Crown, that was the one that was sort of
I think that was learning that exists. I think was my breaking point.
It's just well, it's a mimic. What levels would it have? Rogue, and I'm thanks.
But, we've exterminated the skin saw cult.
Again?
They're all dead again.
Well, I'm gonna put it until they're returned by Paizo.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll come back some other time.
First time.
Yeah, we just fought a bunch of guys again. We liberated another district of the city. So we're slowly winning a civil war, and I'm questioning how there are 2 more books left of this adventure. Because we're level 11. This adventure ends at level 17. I don't know what happens in between those levels, because this feels like the end of the book adventures, right? Because we're gonna go kill the guy and take back the city. That feels like the adventure's over.
Yeah, I can see how that can kind of be a little bit of a problem. Huh. Well, you'll have to let us know how that goes.
I don't know. I'm a paladin now that gets evasion, uncanny dodge, and improved uncanny dodge. So
Pleasant.
also my dog's an angel now.
That could be helpful.
Because I guess that just happens when you're a paladin. Your pet becomes a celestial.
Not for every paladin, thank you very much. But I think a few of them get that. It's like, hey, my dog's an angel now. Don't worry about it. He's the bestest boy or girl, bestest dog of all.
Thank God the huge sized tiger lightning keeps bringing out isn't any kind of planar creature.
Sounds like it would be very silly too.
I thought he had an elf.
So lightning changed from ranger to druid, and in the process,
Replace the elk with
I
the
guess
tiger.
the headcanon is the elk got eaten by a tiger, and the tiger gained the elk's power.
Got it.
Mostly it's swapped because ranger is not particularly fun in Pathfinder.
No, you either have to play the
hitting things with a sword kind of boring.
You have to play that like remastered ranger, or I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, you gotta play hunter.
Hunter or Slayer for a ranger-ish feel.
We at least smartly banned Slayer because it's a very broken class.
I can understand. So then Hunter's your best bet, because I do kind of lean towards more the Hunter, because I've played a few of the times before, but like I understand that, like, you know, the better of the two of them there. So Wednesday I think went pretty decently. I think there was a couple of issues that came up because
I felt the need to explain why I had a stroke mid-session and got really confused. I was looking for the right guy. I just thought the elf was that artifact dealer.
Yeah. That makes sense. I figured that was what was going on there too.
So here's the thing. I thought the elf was going to be that artifact dealer as well. That was
the there's so many names in this adventure.
They do provide a bunch of names, and I think that's
more like he didn't say a name. We were looking for someone who was an artifact dealer, and we asked about it, and they pointed us in this direction because we were asking about the guy itself. So they pointed us in that direction. And then we run into Kyan instead.
Yeah, you had the name Kyan as an artifact dealer, and you were looking for Samriel. And
I mixed those two up.
Yeah.
Well, no, but yeah, we asked for Samriel in the first place, and then we went to the second place, and there's like, oh yeah, there might be a guy like that over here. And we went to the second place, and it was Kyan.
That
unless you misunderstood what we were
misunderstood.
asking
if you had asked for Samriel in the first place, no one would have mentioned him.
No, I was specifically looking for the artifact dealer. I just missed his name.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, okay.
I forgot.
So I was confused then because I thought you were looking for Samriel.
Sorry, we've gotten.
There was a little bit of confusion from everybody.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I had a stroke mid-session.
It's fine. I think it particularly went well. Joe got his car. You checked out a couple of the
damn
stores.
van is here finally.
You made some really good checks for some stuff.
I'm really excited for us to finish this, and then Joe have to pay to ship it back.
He can do the cheap route next time.
He could have done the cheap route the first time. Because, like, I'm not going to lie, it's already supposed to be later in the week that the auction is. He can't take his van to the auction.
No.
I mean, not to mention, we're going to have to fly over to the guy's house anyway, so he's not going to be able to take his van there.
No, you're not going to be able to take your van to there when you fly over to the guy's house. You'll be flying back to Lagos. I'm not going to lie. I will simplify it that you will get to use it. Basically, whatever task you're going to be given, there are some options that go there. You'll be able to do them in Lagos, basically, is what it is. So when you go back to Lagos for the next couple of days, you can do the task to get you into the auction. And then we'll see what happens with the auction, because a bunch of stuff can happen there, which again could also still lead you back to Lagos. So you're kind of stationed out of Lagos right now. So having a car that goes around town, not a bad idea. But the thing is, he could have waited a couple more. It would have been two more days. 2 more days he would have had to wait to get the vehicle. That's it for the boat. That's how much time I had, which is incredibly fast for a boat. But it was being smuggled in.
It is a really fast boat. Yeah.
Yeah. It was. I was arranging for it to be smuggled in very quickly, but that was fast for the boat, not for like the plane. Anyway, no. As much as like, I think Joe really just threw this like curveball on top of everything with having all those drones. Like, if you just like stuck to those micro drones and like maybe one like larger drone, I think it would have been fine though too. And been like also like, rather than having a custom vehicle, have like I can rig any vehicle or something like that. Maybe I have a slightly custom one at home.
But unfortunately for you, Joe does not build simple characters.
No, this is the thing. This has been lately though. He used to build simple characters a lot of times. He's been going more complex, which I don't necessarily mind, but it's like it's been more complex in the wrong places. It's like this is not the point for this.
Not, it's like he builds complex characters that require care from the GM, and then gets upset when the game, which didn't revolve around the thing that he built around, is a thing. It's sort
of like, I also told you.
He literally knew we'd be traveling. No, yeah.
I told you this way ahead of time before anybody was coming with character ideas, and he went for this. So it's like, I told you about this. You knew it was going to be difficult.
He got mad when he had to pay for it, and it's just like, come on, dude.
It's like
literally you were told.
I tried to warn you it would be difficult like this, but I mean, maybe what you'll do is earn some more money and invest in your plane on your own. So if you need to fly somewhere, it'll be like a one you can put your own vehicles into or something. He can put his own vehicle into. I don't know.
That's his problem. I'm not helping pay for that shit.
That's what I mean. He can pay for that, like a cargo plane.
I got other stuff to pay for. I got a house.
Yeah, I think honestly, this is one of those things that was a mistake by my end. I had remembered that he had an optional mission, but I had forgotten to read into the depths of what that optional mission was. So as soon as I read it on the session, I was like, oh crap, this is a lot harder than I remember it being. Because it had been a long time since I checked on that one.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Like, honestly, if we had the ability to like set up on them, was that like, just a part of the city that was ruined and it was like out in the open, we could totally set up on them and like plan. But the problem is it's in a sewer, which is where once I found that out, I'm like, oh yeah, no, we're not doing that.
You could have lured them out, but it was also, there's this time constraint that does exist in the game, and that's why I was like,
yeah, no, it's like it would have been a lot more like that's the thing, like attacking them out in the open, like they were just squatting in an area, basically is what I was thinking.
Yeah, like
a rundown area that they were squatting in. And I'm like, okay, that's doable. But it's like, once you get into the sewers, it's all like, okay, we need to lure them out. That makes, like, range kind of hard.
Look, I was okay with ghouls, but as soon as you said spirits, I didn't want to deal with it.
Yeah. A mage, it's a mage, 2 spirits, and a pack of ghouls. Which I assume the pack of ghouls would have been like 6 of them. And the ghouls, they're monsters, but they're regular people,
they're
like
just like dudes.
They're just dudes.
You can literally play it. You can play a ghoul.
Yeah, you can play a ghoul. But I don't even know if they're like armed or anything, so I don't know like that. They're just being like grr, claw you, bite you. I don't know because they.
I mean the shaman, if he was like not in a sewer tunnel, wouldn't be a problem because you just kill the shaman.
Yeah. And the spirits then will just be like, well. I mean, also
literally a shaman can hide behind a locked door and send the spirits at you. It's a sewer.
I think it's also like you don't necessarily have the best team for that group too. Like, I think that's what it would have been. If I would have left if I would have left a secondary option, I probably would have redone what you were going against for that. And I think that's one of those things is, again, that's me. Like, I checked this like a month ago, like when I like read through that section, and I just like, because I try to like skim over and like kind of go over the basics, and like I know like, oh, he's got an alternate option, we'll see if they want to take that. I didn't like go to depths about it before during this last week, so it was like, again, that was my mistake on that end of like, devil's in the details. Oh hey, yeah.
Realistically, I also probably should have taken at least one properly offensive spell, but I feel like a gun is fine enough most of the time.
Really, yeah. It does mean that I do have to remember to minimize magical based threats and stuff like that are possibilities and stuff. I think that's the other end of things is I can't do anything with your team that rely on magic heavily, like spiritual based things. I really can't. I could, but it's not. I'm going against your character's abilities. I really shouldn't.
I am
hacking. I really shouldn't do anything with. And
yeah, I am kind of annoyed that there isn't an adept ability that allows you to use like magic with ranged gun.
So the only adept ability I know of is like a force punch for spirits.
Yes. Yes, that's the one I was talking about when I mentioned I considered taking it, but yeah.
I think most of the things that do for like if you're doing like a gun adapt, it more makes your gunfire like more accurate, or like
I think you can buy magic bullets, but that's kind of a money waste.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing, is that looking into it, like I was like, oh, I'm gonna build the gun adept. I picked like the 2 gun adept options, and now that was it.
I mean, it's that thing of like I also agree I would like there to be more, but again, it's that kind of like there is a logical of like how would they explain it, or how adepts' powers work versus mages. I mean,
it's kind of just internal. I feel like you could really do it like where it's all like you kind of just go the cyber route almost, where it's all like, oh, you can like slow time to like because I'm pretty sure there's something like that where it's like, oh, adrenaline, slow time, you can aim more accurately, or
that's like the powers you get.
You can force your energy out into the weapon, which when you shoot it will have like the force, behind it, the magical force you need. It's like there's ways to explain it.
The other thing I was thinking of is there might be like a in quotations temporary enchantment spell where you can like magically empower a spell or something, a weapon or something.
Like realistically, I should have taken like a Shatter Ball or Mana Bolt.
I mean,
but that was also me misremembering how casting works, because in Fomoria it's a little bit different.
Technically, you can buy spells.
I can get more spells. It's just I have to find them.
Also, please remind me. I'll try to remember to do it. Maybe tomorrow night or Sunday, or Monday night or Monday during the day. I really should remember to give you guys a little bit of karma, because you technically earn it for sessions. You don't earn the full amount per adventure, but you do like earn like 1 or 2 per session technically, so it's not like an all or you can so
you're technically not supposed to spend it until downtime anyway, per rules.
So I should technically be giving you some experience. Yes, you can't spend it per se, but like if you do something like, I think is do you have to use karma to learn spells, or do you spend money?
I don't 100% remember how that works. I know I can use karma to get powers.
Yeah.
I'm pretty certain you do have to use karma to buy spells.
I believe so.
I think you have to purchase them and then use karma to like memorize them. Kind of like
because I know for me I have to spend 5 karma for 1 power point if I want to, but I don't know if I can do that after character creation. I think for Mystic Adepts, I purchase spells the same way as magicians, and I don't remember how magicians buy spells.
It's been a while, so I've got to remember that too.
Aspected blah blah blah. Adepts may purchase new spells rituals on the preparations to or the preparations to use. Magic user must spend 5 karma to learn the spell. So you have to purchase it and then spend 5 karma.
Yeah, that's how I thought it worked.
Again, like I'm gonna say, there's probably not a lot of, in quotations, downtime things you could do. But if there's something that like would be like a couple of days, you could probably do it in if it's like you go meet with the Oni, and he's like, hey, here's the thing I need you to do to get your pass. And then maybe, like, since you got 4 days, you spend 2 days prepping, maybe doing something downtime related for one of your characters. Do it on the last day, and then next day is the auction. You could do something like that, but again, it's like, I don't know if there's a lot you could do.
Something that we're also going to have to remember is, because of one of my powers, I always have detect magic.
That is a good one to remind me of.
Don't always have astral perception.
Yeah.
So I can see that there is magic, but I can't astrally percept it without an accessing check.
Like you kind of know something's there, but you don't know what's there unless you really take a look.
And like I would have to do an additional check to know what the magic is. I just know something is magical. Because identified magic is a different thing.
Yeah. I think it would be kind of like the old detect magic where you have to spend a couple of rounds. It's like you automatically get the first round, but you actually have to do something to get the extra rounds or something.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah. So. I think it overall went well. I think that the big hookup was, of course, like the extra mission there too. But like, I'm not gonna lie, like you were going to probably get the information from your contacts about Kayan if you had not got it there. But like the amount of successes you got at those like 2 shops were like you found a lot of information out.
Yeah, honestly, like even with like you got crazy successes even with like with like your high dice pools, like they were still crazy.
Yeah. So to explain, if I would want to know what magic is, I would have to do an sensing test or cast analyze magic, which I don't have analyze magic.
Mm-hmm.
It's nor do if I want to astrally perceive a thing.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like again,
it's a lot of little things to remember.
Yeah. I think it's also a thing too. Is like Joe wants to use the matrix search stuff, but I'm like, he didn't really take a lot for that.
No.
So like, you can kind of find information but
that is kind of an issue we are facing, since we don't have a decker.
Yeah.
Yeah. A fun fact: you don't have to actually pay for spells if you have a license to practice magic and a legal sin.
Yeah,
because then you can access online data, like official databases.
These magic users have to be registered because they're so fucking dangerous.
Mm-hmm. If you're an unregistered one, well, be careful about using your magic.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Because you ain't going to prison.
Yeah, the cost is basically to get someone to teach you.
Yeah.
Off the record.
Yeah. I mean, I think I do enjoy it. It's just, again, like the game, I feel like we're figuring out some of the hiccups for Wednesday, but I think it's been going pretty good. And except for some of those, like, 4th to 5th edition stuff that occasionally I get caught up on, because it is also, I'm using a 4E book too, so occasionally it mentions something in there that I'm like, mechanically, I'm like, oh wait, I have to convert it to 5th edition. But
I have no idea why you didn't just run 4th edition.
I'm not going to lie. I was thinking of the priority system of 3rd edition, which was a lot more efficient.
Yeah.
5th edition's priority system brings it back in a more complex way.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't realize that.
It's like trying to balance a bunch of scales, and you're constantly have to move things back and forth to make it work.
It was a lot easier, as I said before. You had some other. It didn't allow for certain things, but it was like it really was just. There are certain aspects that I'm like, man, we didn't have these before. The priority system was just like, these are my ability scores. Great. It's nothing about like the metatype ancestry stuff at all. That didn't exist, So I was like, I think even in like 3rd edition, like if you wanted to be like another metatype in the priorities, it's just like use some of your beginning karma or something like that to play something other than like, because it used to be like, I think it was like C, D, and E were the priorities you play to play something, because you didn't have to play a B or an A or something like that. It was like, I want to play this other weird thing. I'll just use some karma or something like that. Yes, you couldn't play certain things.
Yeah, like if we would do some kind of additional game episode, probably by some kind of focus that lets me have more powers, or a spell focus that lets me do spell things.
I think
But those are expensive at character creation.
I think what I'm going to do is when we're finished this, I am going to ask the amazing question to everyone of rather than after the adventure's done, and we would, before people would spend downtime karma, I'd be like, hey, do you want to take your character and make a 4E version of it, and then just add the karma onto that, and all the equipment that you've bought from during the game onto that? Let me know. If you just convert it over. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
If we feel like continuing 5E, I can adapt still too, but I'll be curious what people think after we've done everything. Anyway, but that was Wednesday. Again, got some hiccups, but I think it's been overall been very.
I think
fun.
it's largely fun.
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's fine.
It's been nice to dip back into Shadowrun.
And I think we've been going at a pretty good pace, not been bogged down with too many crazy things. It feels like the adventure's moving along. I think that's also been good.
I feel like there's gonna come a point where some human guy is gonna have a mental break and start asking a lot of questions.
You just have all these crazy things and just one regular
Due
dude.
to he's a ticking time bomb.
I mean, he is also the most reasonable, because as much as you're yeah, we can. Again, it's like that entire thing. It's it is that difference of all of the rest of you are look, sometimes you got to kill a guy in the course of a fight. If you have to be ready for that. It's we don't want to go out of our way to do it, but we have to be ready for it, or get rid of the bad guys or something. And he's I don't want to do that. Certainly speaking, Momo, your character is yeah, you did stuff with authorities. You had to take out the bad guys and stuff like that.
Yeah, sure, I'm relatively normal. I'm also still an elf.
Yeah. He's just I just wanted to fight people and earn some money in the streets. I just wanted to make my way. It's an interesting position.
Funny enough, I appear the most normal.
Yes,
you do.
I'm the
You
least
look
normal,
very,
but I appear the most normal.
Yeah. I think there's one other thing before we get to Saturday that I ended up doing tabletop related, and that was I know. Was that Thursday? I think it was Thursday that Joe grabbed me, and I don't know if it was you, Worm, or Blaze shows up. Was that Thursday that we were looking at?
Probably Blaze, because I didn't.
There was a day that we were looking at a couple of the Shadowrun card games.
You talked about that with me, but yeah, I wasn't there. I think it was you, Joe, and Blaze.
Yeah. We looked at one of the one game, and then Joe was trying to let's play the TCG of Shadowrun from back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and I'm I don't know if I want to do that. And he's I found some deck lists online. I'm God damn it. Yeah, Nox just punches people. He's a scrapper. Look, Nox probably has killed people but isn't aware of it. He's probably knocked out people that may have died from the horrific knockout wounds.
It's like Batman. You know?
Batman's totally murdered some guys from doing some things. He doesn't talk about it because he punched them to death.
They died at the hospital, so it wasn't his fault.
Just because they were moving when he left them doesn't mean they survived.
The guy that you had jump off a roof because he critical glitched, he technically was alive. Will he be later? I don't know. He's going to be Schrodinger's...
Definitely not, because I've killed all of them.
I guess you went and finished him off, too. It's, Anyway. So we'll turn over to Worm for your... today, Saturday game.
Yep. Yeah, I'm DiamondWyrm. You can follow me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm. Oh, no. Oh, you're talking about the game. Sorry. I don't know why I thought we were... Yeah. No, I thought you were saying... Well, sorry. You said it in a way that made me think you were talking about outro. Anyway.
No, that's fine.
Your tone was different. Anyway, where was... Okay. So, I... stood around and watched some prisoners while everyone else fought a bunch of people.
Mm.
And then I sat around. We did like a nap spell, so everyone like was, or so most of the people were able to sleep a full night's rest in an hour, because we're still literally hiding in a cave where there's a bunch of enemies around us that we're kind of defending. And then I turned around and started studying my spell book so I can get some spells back. While a bunch of other people fought a giant and are preparing for another wave of invasion. So I literally did nothing this whole game.
Sometimes that happens. Look,
I did beat a round of Slay the Spire 2 with the defect.
Cool. That doesn't really mean a lot to me, but cool. I Slay Spire does not. I just never got into it. I don't know if it would be totally outside of my wheelhouse, but it just never did.
I mean, it is multiplayer.
Look, I think that at most, like, it was that entire thing of like, it's not necessarily easy for like more roguelike things to capture me, because sort of like I did do like was a Risk of Rain 2 I ended up playing with people too. I think we played that.
Yeah, Risk of Rain 2. I still want to do more of that, but yeah.
I was fine with that, but it was nothing that really excited me too much. It was like, it was fun to play with people.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, you seem just not to be like super into roguelikes. I think they're fun to play with people.
I think that's where the big thing to capture me is. It's just playing with people. You can capture me a little bit easier.
Yeah. Yeah. So the Spire 2, I would love to try the multiplayer. I'm not. I'd be fine just doing it with Blaze and like off time but
it's also the thing of like it's a hard thing for me to like get into, like, because I enjoyed my time with certain other ones. Like I played a bunch of Spelunky 1 back in the day, and then I played on stream Spelunky 2. That was fun, but like I wasn't going to do a lot of the really crazy stuff in that game. I was never going to do like the beat the 99 levels at the end of the game kind of thing. I was like, I wasn't going to do that. And the same can kind of be said for like Enter the Gungeon. I got to like the second type of ending, and I was like, well, that's enough for me. And after like because there's like so many levels of like stuff you can do.
I played a lot of Enter the Gungeon,
and like I've seen people do like the depths of like game you can do, and I'm like, that's I didn't know that existed, and I don't think I wanted to dive that deep into it. Not gonna lie. Not that I'm against it, it existing there, but it was too much for me. Anyway, so cool. All right, now we turn to our outros and goodbye.
Yeah,
now I turn it over to you, Worm, to say your goodbye.
I had a brain fart. Anyway, I'm DiamondWyrm. You can find me on twitch.tv/DiamondWyrm or @DiamondWyrm on Twitter, Blue Sky, and YouTube. And next stream will be tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. about.
Cool. You have anything to throw in there, Momo, or will I go to my little adventure?
No, I don't got anything.
Okay. Adventure says bye. She goes meow 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 bye. Also, I want to escape. She really does want to escape. She's getting that look here. But hi, Adventure Dracovin. If you want to see older episodes of this or this one, if you've only caught part of it, you can catch the VODs over on my YouTube channel, along with all my tabletop stuff. That's where all the stuff that's tabletop related that either I record or stream live ends up at. So please to check it out there. If you are over on YouTube, make sure you do the YouTube-y things, and make sure you always leave the comments down below and stuff like that, because it always supports. Any other kind of support things and social medias are linked below in my stuff. I will be, of course, back on Tuesday, back to my normal schedule. With a squirmy cat here. Well, she might not be on my lap at that point in time. And then, of course, hopefully we will be back for, of course, check out Artifact Runner / A Frosty Job over on Wednesday. And, of course, join us next week for another episode next week, Saturday, 6 o'clock, to enjoy some more Discussing Tabletop. With hopefully these folks can join me. And, yes, thank you to you two once again for joining me, and to all of you out there who enjoyed. Until next time, I say to all of you out there, farewell.
Bye.